Do I need to put on this one? Or?
Can you hear it at the back? They can hear.
Okay. Okay. Nice to see you all. And thank you also for organizing this teaching event and giving me an opportunity to... Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Giving me an opportunity to talk a little bit about Buddha Dharma. In a sort of a traditional setup, generally the teachers begin teachings by reminding the listeners to check one's motivation and correct one's motivation. It's important because our actions, physical, verbal, mental actions, they follow our motivation. Motivation sort of lead our actions. So therefore, whatever you do, even if it is a very small thing, it's always encouraged to check one's motivation and correct one's motivation in the beginning and during whatever that you do. Like, for example, even if you are lighting a butter lamp, as simple as that, just a butter lamp as an offering. Or if you are like, let's say that you are circumambulating a stupa or reading a line from the sutras, it's always first very important to check one's motivation, why you are doing it. Yeah, and if it needs to be corrected, then you need to correct one's motivation. So, as a speaker, not only as a not only the listeners, but also as a speaker, both of us, we have to, first check one's motivation if it is not driven by some self-interest or selfish reasons or not. If it is, then you need to correct one's motivation, that you are teaching or you are listening to the teaching for the benefit of others, for the benefit of certain beings. I know it, at this point, maybe it's sort of vague, not clear, opaque, but nevertheless, I think it's very important to make this habit. So that's how we begin teachings in sort of traditional sort of setup. Okay. Buddha Shakyamuni, after the enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, taught extensively. After his enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, some of you may know that he remained silent for weeks. He didn't teach. Yeah? And beings of higher realms, led by Indra and Brahma, came to Buddha Shakyamuni. They offered a conch and a wheel to Buddha Shakyamuni and supplicated and requested him to teach, not to remain silent. Because Buddha Shakyamuni thought that, what he realized under the Bodhi tree will not be able, others will not be able to understand it. Sabshi, Dredel, Vessel, Dimaje, he said. Sab means profound. Shi means, pacified. Sabshi. Dredel means devoid of fabrications. Vessel means luminosity. Dimaje means something that is not constructed, something that is uncompounded. That sort of, Amrita-like Dharma that he understood under the Bodhi tree when he got enlightenment. He thought nobody will be able to understand it. So there's no point to teach. But he thought that he will remain silent and leave the world silent. And as I said earlier, the beings of higher realms led by Brahma and Indra came and requested, and he gave his first teachings in the place called Varanasi to 5 students. He had 5 students to begin. And after that, for 45 years, he taught. Buddha Shakyamuni taught extensively, constantly he taught. And he gave many different kinds of teachings, depending on the audiences who were listeners. Because Buddha Shakyamuni didn't teach just one thing to everyone. Normally this is how things are these days, right? You know one thing, then you try to sort of force feed that one to everyone. Buddha Shakyamuni was not like that. He taught according to the audiences, depending on their faculties, depending on their likings, what they liked, depending on their ability to comprehend his teachings, depending on their situations. He taught many different teachings for 45 years. Generally also, we say that Buddha taught 84,000 divisions of teachings. Yeah, we said that. Some of the teachings that he taught were actually what he meant to teach. He actually meant to teach. Those are the ultimate teachings, or the technical words is Nyedun. Nyedun is like definitive meaning, teachings that belongs to the definitive meaning. That is what he actually meant to teach. But most of the teachings, that he taught were actually not what he actually meant to teach. But he had no option. But he had to teach in such ways. Because You know, he, as I said earlier, he taught according to the audiences, right? So most of the time, the audiences were not ready to listen to his ultimate teaching. So he had to teach, you know, things such as, you know, that belongs to the relative teachings, such as the karma, so that they can so slowly move on and then ultimately, you know, be prepared to listen to the ultimate teachings. So those, most of the teachings actually, that must be like over 90% of his teachings. Those teachings are categorized as the teachings with the interpretable meanings. You have to interpret it, because those are not, you cannot take it at the face value. Is it, do you say that? Yeah, you cannot like straight away take it. You have to interpret it. But, and then you have to also like get what he actually meant to teach. Yeah, so these are interpretive teachings. They are like teachings that he actually meant to teach, and teachings that he actually didn't mean to teach, but he had no options. It's almost like, you know, it's almost like teaching science or theories of Albert Einstein's to a kid. You can't just open their works and straight away talk about mathematics and all. It doesn't really work that way, not at all. You have to, you know, probably play with them, talk with them. You have to sing with them, play games with them, use lots of expressions, use lots of toys. And most of the time, probably, instead of talking about science, you may have to talk about something totally different. And you'll have to have patience, because, you know, of course, you are doing the groundwork, but you are, you know, the kid is not yet ready to comprehend the mathematics and all. You have to have patience, and it may take a long time. And that was the case with the Buddha also. So most of the teachings he didn't mean to teach, but he had to, and somehow had to do the groundwork. So ultimately, the audiences are ready to listen to the ultimate teachings. So there is teachings that he actually meant to teach, and teachings that he didn't mean to teach, but he had no options. And those are known as definite teachings with the definitive meaning, and teachings with the interpretable meanings. But be it like the ultimate teachings or not, be it the teachings that he meant or not, the essence of the Buddha's teaching boils down to one thing. That is to tame one's mind. Tame one's mind, to train one's mind, to subdue one's mind, to work with one's mind. That is the essence. The essence of the Buddha's teachings is to tame one's mind. Be it, you know, whatever categories the teachings fall into, that is the essence. Now here you can see in Buddhism, the mind is the most important thing. Yeah? There's nothing that is more important than the mind. That's why, a great Mahasiddha Saraha, he made, of course, he has many of his compositions, but in one of them, he, of course, it is a very Indian tradition to begin with the salutation, whatever work that you do. And even if it is a composition or even if it is a writing, it begins with the salutation. And he's made in one, he made a salutation to mind, because he said that it's the source of samsara and it's the source of nirvana. The mind is the jewel-like, is the, a wish-fulfilling jewel-like. It can give you samsara, it can give you nirvana. So I prostrate to you, mind, he says. In Buddhism, mind is the most important. There's nothing that is more important than mind. And why not, right? Why not? Because, it has the power to, change even the shape of this earth. It is the most powerful thing that we have in the universe. Let's say there is a universe, right? I personally believe there will be no universe if there is no mind. But let's say there is universe, but there is no mind. What does it mean? It means nothing. Yeah? It means nothing. If there is no mind, there's the whole universe, it means nothing. So I think it's, first of all, important to know that the mind is the most important thing, and taming one's mind is the essence of the Buddha's teaching. There are, teachings such as teachings on 12 interdependent links. We are not going to go through, it in depth, because it's another big topic and very complicated one. We don't have time also. But it's a very important one. And I thought maybe, just to give you how the mind is so important, I thought maybe I'll sort of take some from the middle and then talk about them. Within the 12 interdependent links, there is Rekpa, Tsorwa, Sepa, Lempa, Sipa. These 5. There's 12, but let's say we take out the 5. Rekpa means touch or contact between the consciousness and its object. Yeah, there is a contact between the consciousness and its object. And we have like 6 consciousnesses: eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, and mind consciousness. And they have their own respective objects, such as the eye consciousness perceives form, shape, color, light, etc., etc. And the ear consciousness perceives sound, Nose consciousness perceives smell. Tongue consciousness perceives taste. Body consciousness perceives texture, temperature, so on and so forth. And there is mind consciousness, which perceives everything that is going on in your mind. Your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts, concepts, ideas, so on and so forth. Everything that is going on. Of course, there are also many layers, right? Within the subconsciousness, there are many layers. Some of the layers, I don't think we have a free access, but they are the most strongest one, nevertheless, actually, the subconsciousness level. We call it alaya vijnana, which means alaya consciousness. That's sort of more of like a subconsciousness level. That is where we keep all our subtle habitual patterns and karmic seeds. But if they are also perceived, they will be the object of course, mind consciousness as well. So everything that is going on in your mind are the object of mind consciousness. So there is consciousness and their respective objects, and there is this touch. Right? What happens when there is this contact between the consciousness and their object? Then you see, you hear, you smell, you taste, you feel, you know, and so on and so forth. So there is this contact, and then that leads to feelings. Tsoa, that leads to the feeling. If the object is pleasant one, then you have a good feeling, pleasant feeling. If the object is unpleasant one, then unpleasant feeling. If the object is neutral, which is most of the time in our case, then the feeling is also sort of a neutral. So that contact leads to feelings, and then that leads to desire. Sepa in Tibetan. That leads to desire. If the object is a pleasant one, then you have the desire to sort of get it, own it, have it. You have the desire to, if you already have it, then keep it, protect it, so on and so forth like that. That's also that's desire. And if the object is unpleasant one, then you have the desire to get rid of it, get away from it, destroy it in some cases probably. Whether it is to get it or get rid of it, anyway, it has the element of desire. So the feeling leads to the desire, and even the good practitioners, let's say who have meditated for a decade or more, they will also have the desire. When they see something good, then so good, I want to have it, or something like that. That even the good, very good practitioners will have that, but they will know at that point, and then they will interrupt that chain to further go on. They can interrupt it because they know, they are aware of what is happening. But in our case, in particularly my case, probably that desire will again go on to the other stage, the next step, which is lempa or adana in Sanskrit, lempa. That is like that desire becoming stronger. Yeah? That desire becoming stronger. Desire getting aggravated is becoming stronger. In some cases, that desire probably will become an obsession. Yeah? You can't think of anything else, but only that day and night you're thinking about whether wealth or position or partners or love or whatever you are. Keep on thinking about that. Keep on thinking. That's like that desire has aggravated that means that desire has aggregated. It has probably to some people, comes to a point to an obsession. And that, when that happens, of course, you will create karma. You will create karma. Mentally, verbally, through your physical sort of actions, you will create karma. That is the next one. You create karma. And that karma gets embedded in your subconsciousness as karmic seeds. And then they remain there for the right conditions, causes and conditions. And when the right causes and conditions come together, those seeds manifest into your life situations. And then you experience the karmic consequences or ripening of the karmic seed. And it goes on and on and on like that. Yeah, that's why it is known as a korwa, which means cyclic sort of role, cyclic existence, samsara. It goes on and on and on like that. Because you have a life situation, again you have a contact, you feel something, and then desire, and then you create karma, and it goes on and on. There are, in our subconscious level, the karmic seeds is just immeasurable. You cannot even count. There are so many. Even I don't know, even in a dead one day, probably we create so many karma, and the karmic seeds to be born are sort of planted in our subconsciousness level. And they are just, how do you say, innumerable, and they are just waiting for the right causes and conditions, and they will manifest when that happens. So you can see that the root of all this cyclic existence falls down to one's own mind. So that's why to tame one's mind, to train one's mind, to subdue one's mind, which is the essence of the Buddha's teachings, becomes so important. Yeah. Now, the question is, what does it mean? Yeah? What does it mean by taming one's mind? Is mind even tameable? Is mind even, I don't know, is it English or not? Please correct me. Subduable, trainable, workable? Is mind even workable? Those are the questions, right? What does it mean to tame one's mind? Now here we can talk about many things. We can talk about Buddha nature. Your mind is workable because the nature of your mind is Buddha nature. Your nature of your mind is free from all the stains, free from all the mental fabrications, and so on and so forth. Your mind is just like a sky, unstained. And everything that is going on, emotions, thoughts, anxieties, feelings, everything, they are temporary. The technical word here is luburgitima, means temporary stains. They are all temporary stains. They come and go. If they are not temporary, that means bad news. Then you can't do anything because it's not temporary. You can't work with them at all, those emotions and feelings, because if they are a permanent thing, then there is no point in taming one's mind, right? What is the point? Because they are temporary, they comes and goes. Because you know that you don't get angry and then get angry for eons. That doesn't really happen. Next time you will be probably happy about something else. Because they are so temporary, they come and go, you can do something about it. And because the nature of your mind is Buddha nature, unstained, you can work with it. Just like, a crystal. Crystal. If the crystal is filled with dust, filled, or what do you say? Covered with dust, you have a confidence because the crystal is clear and clean. Because you know that, and because the nature of the crystal is clean, therefore it makes sense to wipe it off, right? Wipe the dust off. If the nature is not clean, then what is the point? There is no point in cleaning it. Because nature, the true nature of your mind is Buddha. And everything else is temporary. That's why, that is the main reason you can work with your mind. There is, But this is a different topic again. Buddha nature is a big topic. We are not going to go through that. Today I thought I will just speak out every small Buddhist jargons as much as possible. so that some of you I know are probably new to Buddhism. So these teachings probably will be filled with too many informations and too many jargons, but hopefully I'm hoping that next time when you go to a good teachers, probably it will help. That's my intention. So I'm going to throw out everything, just little by little. So we were talking about the essence of the Buddha's teaching is to tame one's mind. And what it means. What does it mean to tame one's mind? It means, of course, there are many ways, from many angles you can look into that. But one important angle is to, it means to go closer to the truth. Yeah? It means actually taming one's mind means moving closer to the truth. Going closer to the truth. Understanding the truth, realizing the truth, getting accustomed to the truth.